Okay, fantastic. So, in partnership with CIAT, congratulations first and foremost. If you've been to one of my events before, I always start by saying congratulations to you all because as business owners, you've made time, you've made a choice and you've made it a priority to invest your time in learning and development, which is the most powerful thing that you can do as a business owner. So what you're going to be doing today is you will be leaving with ideas on team building, on possibly how to grow and scale your business, some strategies. You'll learn with specific knowledge to improve whatever you're doing at the moment with regard to team building as well. And most importantly, as always, you will get out of this what you put in. So please do take notes. Please do ask questions in the chat box. Please participate. The chances are that if you're thinking of something or if you've got a question, you want to get clarity on something, someone else is probably thinking and feeling the same way. So your participation is going to be massively important. And as I said, please do write down everything that you're learning and any light bulbs that are going off. That's the most important thing. Because today is about you, take notes, and you will forget 97% of what we cover today. Number one, because it's a lot, but number two, life takes over. So by writing it down, you're going to be able to remember some of the most important things that resonate with you. So look, as always, I like to test participation. I like to see how awake everyone is before we get on to the main presentation itself. So I'd like to ask you a question. Answers in the chat box, please. How many of you have ever made a hiring mistake? Just put a yes or no in the chat box. How many of you have ever made a hiring mistake? Let's see where we are at the moment in terms of recruitment. So just answers in the chat box. Where are we? Yes, a couple of yeses, couple of no's. Interesting. Yes. I'll be the first to put my hand up. I have made a lot of recruitment mistakes in the past. Just admitting some more people whilst everyone's participating. Anyone else? Recruitment mistakes. Anyone else made any recruitment mistakes? Not made any hiring just yet. Okay, Barry, you're going to be ahead of the game. Hopefully with what we covered today is going to help you massively. Paul, same with you. Okay, excellent. Thank you to everyone who participated. A fantastic start. So what are we going to be covering today? It's going to be a lot. There's a lot that we're going to be covering. A lot of key principles is what we call them. And this is an outline of what's going to be shared with you. To continue the theme of interaction and with you participating, how many of you have a written and clearly defined step-by-step recruitment process, which you review quarterly in line with your business goals? Again, just a yes or no in the chat box to start with. So how many of you have a written and clearly defined step-by-step recruitment process, which you review quarterly in line with your business goals? Let's see where everyone is at the moment. No. I would have to say I'm quite happy to see all of this because the no's mean I was no different to you all. When I first started getting coaching myself, it was no. I was not doing any of that. Because actually having a written and clearly defined step-by-step recruitment process is what everyone needs if you want to attract the right types of people. More importantly, keep great people in your team. You will not find them by luck. And as I said, I got coached on it and we will be coaching on it as well. And it's good to know, look, we're all in the same boat. We all start somewhere. And this is why we're all here today, to become better business owners. So today is part one of your education. If you've been to one of my webinars before, I do offer some additional help at the end of the webinar, but today is part one of your team building education. For those of you at the end of the webinar, if you do want to act and take more actions, I suppose, to further develop what we've covered today and further develop your team, I will share with you a way in which you can do that. But this is an educational process. This is part one, and we're going to be sharing top level principles with you. Of course, we cannot cover everything that we coach in a 45-minute, 50-minute presentation, but we'll give you as much as we can. So before we get into it, I just want to tell you my story very, very briefly to give you some context. My name is Kuldeep Singh Sahota. Most people know me as Cooks. I'm a serial entrepreneur, I'm an investor, and I'm a business coach. This webinar is all about pushing my experiences and share, sorry, not pushing, but sharing my experiences and my stories with you, because I've been exactly where you are. Coaching genuinely changed my life. I started in the city as a stockbroker before moving into actually property development and real estate. My first project was building 152 apartments out in India, where I didn't speak the language. It was a £5.2 million development. I did not speak the language, but I built the brand and sold the properties. I sold out of that and started my family business, which is what you see on the right-hand side. We started making chili sauce in our garden shed with my dad and my brothers. I built that brand and that business very, very quickly. It was very exciting to supply the likes of Tesco, Sainsbury's, Ocado, Selfridges. We were exporting around the world. We were on the BBC. We were in the press. I was invited to 10 Downing Street. We actually started exporting out to Africa, America, into Europe, and I raised over £300,000 investment for the business. Now, the reason I'm sharing this all with you is because the growth in that particular business was very rapid and very intense. I'd gone from basically starting a business in my garden shed. Well, we upgraded to the garden shed from our kitchen, but we upgraded to the shed, and we'd grown from there to supply nationally, been watched by millions of people on TV. And after a few years, I realized I was just hating the job that I'd created for myself, because I could not leave. My boss, i.e. me, was an absolute lunatic. I was taking no days off. 18-hour days. There was no social life. I had bad health. If I didn't work, I didn't get paid. That may resonate with quite a lot of you. If I did not work, I didn't get paid. It was very stressful. And I had this kind of hustler mindset that I had to be working all of the time. And I thought this was life. This is what it's all about. And you see the picture on the left-hand side. It's 10:17 p.m. on a Saturday night. I'm celebrating the fact that I'm working, because that's what I thought entrepreneurship was. The picture in the middle is my brother in our old house sitting on the stock that we used to keep there, because again, that's what I thought it was all about. But then when I discovered coaching, it genuinely transformed my life. I realized that that's not what business is, and that's not how it works. And on the journey home from my first coaching session, I booked my first 7-day holiday in 7 years. So that meant no laptop, no mobile phone, no work, just a genuine holiday. And as you can see, my wife was very, very happy with that. And this is a picture of us in Greece a few weeks later. Today, I'm a people builder. I'm a business builder. And I learned the difference between working in my business and working on my business, which is critical to understand. And we will be covering this as well. So in a snapshot, that's my story. And these are the 4 key areas of frustration I felt and most business owners feel in their business. So time, not enough time management problems. Team, which is what we're going to be covering today, finding the right people, keeping the right people, motivating them. Money, so cash flow, margin, scope creep, anything to do with money. And finally, marketing, getting your name out there rather than being a really, really well-kept secret. Common across all types of businesses across the board. So before I get into the bulk of the webinar, I really like to start with this question because it helps create a level playing ground for absolutely everyone. And keep an eye on the chat box to see what people say. I would like for everyone to answer. Oh, shared it too fast. I would like for everyone to answer the question. And if you know it already from a previous webinar, please do share the answer. But what is your definition of a business? What is your definition of a business? Answers in the chat box, please. What is your definition of a business? Let's have a look. Anyway, there's no necessarily right or wrong answer, but it's interesting to understand where everyone sits in terms of what they think a business is. Paul, thank you for sharing, providing a service and earning money from that service. That's interesting. Any other takers? Something that provides a good or service for money. Goods or service for money. Michael, thank you. An operation that creates revenue. We're getting there, Tom. Anything else? 1 or 2 more would be great. A vehicle to earn income, providing the... Sorry. Barry? Let's see. 1 or 2 more. Definition of a business. To make money, Simon. Okay, look. if you take anything away from this, please write this down. This is what I was coached on in terms of what a business is, and now it's become my definition of what a business is. A business is a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you. Now, for you all in the creative space, you may not want the business to work entirely without you, and you may wish to continue practicing architectural design, which is great. The difference being is that ability for you to continue the creative side of work becomes a choice. It's not something that you have to do in order for the business to continue functioning. So a business is a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you. The second question is, what is a business coach? For some of you, this may be the first time you've heard the term. And the reason I'm sharing it with you is that's what we do. It's what I am, business coaching. And the business coach is ultimately the unreasonable friend who holds you accountable to what you say you're going to do. We also coach and obviously help you build the business of your dreams. And finally, is coaching right for you? If it's something that you've thought about, mentorship, that type of thing, is it right for you? Well, possibly. If you're someone who says, I know, yeah, but it's possibly not for you. If you're someone that says, go on, I'm listening, that's interesting, and you're open to being challenged and new ways of thinking, then business coaching might be for you at some point in the future. So look, as we get into it, learning this, a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you, critical, you win. So answers in the chat box. Why is a team important, even as a sole trader? Again, this is to understand where everyone's sitting at the moment and just to establish a common ground for everyone. Why is a team important, even as a sole trader? Thoughts in the chat box, please. To share the workload and stress. That's interesting. To share pressure. Any other takers? Sharing of ideas. We're better together. I love that, John. Any other thoughts? Why is it important to have a team, even as a sole trader? Collect information to provide the correct service. Develop each other's skills and traits. Interesting. You can't do everything yourself. No. Yeah, exactly. It's impossible. You cannot do everything yourself. Someone to bounce off. To provide a better service. I think, Paul, that's the closest to the perfect answer, I would say. All the other comments that everyone has mentioned are absolutely critical. The idea is to work together towards the same goal. John, that's pretty much it. It's the ability to deliver the best service possible and to deliver the goals of the business and what the client is asking from you, because you cannot do it all yourself. Look, as a solopreneur, I think the American term is, you're wearing about 50 different hats. You're the salesperson, the marketing person, the recruitment person, your customer service, your admin, you're the designer, you're absolutely everything. And there's only so many hours in a day, and that's going to limit your growth. Whereas with a team, you're bringing in experts. So the reason I've got the picture of Lionel Messi and his team there is, do you think Messi could win the World Cup by himself? Now, there's some diehard fans that will answer yes to that question, but realistically, do you think Lionel Messi could have won the World Cup by himself? Obviously, the answer is no. He needed a team around him. He needed someone that was in goal. He needed the wingers, the midfielders. Everyone played a part in delivering the ultimate goal of winning the World Cup. And much the same with your business, even as a sole trader. Whatever your goals are, the team is critical in playing their part in delivering that goal. Having a team is what allows you to build a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you if you wish. It's the only way to do it. And that's why a team is so important. Now, this next section may trigger some people, may not, but it's critically important. I'm asking you to be open to having a paradigm shift in your thinking, because anything to do with recruitment and team, for you or as business owners, it starts and ends with you. Any of the problems and the challenges, it starts and ends with you. So this is a key principle we coach business owners on extensively and repeatedly. And it's called the principle of being above and below the line. So this line represents any critical decision point in anyone's life in any type of situation. So I'm going to give you an example, and I'd love for everyone to play along. So let's say there's a marketing business, and there's two people in the email marketing team, and they've been given the job of offering a 50% discount to their best client just for 1 month. So this marketing team, they were supposed to send an email to one client and say, hey, client, you've got 50% off for the month for being such a great client. Now, rather than sending it just to that one client, the email's gone out to the database of 5,000 clients. So what that means is 5,000 clients have been offered 50% discount for the entire month. It's a huge mistake that could have massive implications for the company. Now, typically, so before I continue, the pink circle represents a decision point. It represents a situation. So this email scenario. So typically in this scenario, when the manager walks in and speaks to the email team of 2 or 3 people, what's going to happen when the manager asks, what happened here? What starts to happen? What behaviors, what emotions starts coming out? If you put the answers in the chat box, and I'll give you a clue, the words start with these 3 letters. What would start to happen? Put yourself in their shoes, the email marketing team. The manager's come in and said, what's going on? The email was just supposed to go to one person. You've sent it to all 5,000. What starts happening? John, people get defensive. They start making excuses. Blame. Absolutely. Blame and excuse, definitely. Blame, excuse, defensive. Alex. Almost there. Blame and excuse, correct. The third one. It wasn't me. It was them. It wasn't me. It was someone else. You make excuses. Oh, I didn't realize. I was distracted. Divert. Deny. Yeah, exactly, Brian. Deny. It's denial. It's called below the line thinking. Okay, so people blame each other or blame circumstance. They make excuses and they are in denial. So in this scenario, that's what people would do. Typically, the manager comes in and then the staff members would turn on each other. They'll start blaming each other. They'll start making excuses and they'll start denying that it was them or they had any part to do with it. Now, if you imagine in this scenario, there's a team that does that. What's the relationship going to be like between the team and the managers? Any thoughts? Answers in the chat box, please. What's going to happen to the team? Broken. What else? Resentment, tense, fractured, lack of trust. Exactly. It's all negative emotions, negative experiences. What if we were to go the opposite route? What if we were to go above the line, and the 3 letters give you a clue as to what behaviors and character traits we could embrace. So this email scenario has occurred. It's gone to 5,000 people instead of 1. The managers come in and asked us all, what's going on? Why has this happened? What could we do to go above the line? Ownership. Fantastic. Ownership's definitely there. Ownership, admission, responsibility. Ownership and responsibility are correct. The A stands for something else. Ownership and responsibility are correct. So we're saying, you know what? Yes, I'm taking ownership. I played a part in it. I could have done this. I could have done that. This is my responsibility as head of email marketing. I'm responsible. Accountability, Alex, fantastic. Accountability. That's exactly it. So ownership, accountability, and responsibility. So in any scenario, you have an opportunity to go above or below the line. And this includes recruitment and this includes your team. So think about scenarios in your team when things have happened where you yourself as a business owner maybe have gone below the line. Blame the staff, blame the people, blame the client. How could you have gone above the line, taken ownership, accountability, and responsibility? Now, the reason this is so critical is that when you go below the line, you externalize and you have a victim's mindset. The world is happening to me. The world is happening to me. I am the victim. When you go above the line, you internalize what's going on and it gives you full control. You have what we call the victor's mindset. You are in control of what happens next. You have a choice on how to act. Now, the reason this is so critical in team building and in leadership is because it's those leaders that have the ability to go above the line more often than they go below the line that can build the best teams. Sorry, admitting a couple of more people. So just let that sink in. And if anything resonates, write down where maybe you've gone below the line or maybe where you've gone above the line. But this is a key principle that you can use outside of this webinar, and it is truly transformative. Imagine this in your personal life as well. It takes some work, but it's really, really powerful. So the 6 steps. This is the structure to build your business. And again, we coach on this extensively. And team is part of the 6 steps. So the first step for most business owners when we work with them is to eliminate chaos. Typically, there's chaos around vision, around goal, time mastery. There's no time mastery. Delivery mastery, and that includes the team. Money mastery. We then move into creating predictable cash flow. We then start creating efficiencies in the business. We then start creating structure for growth. And this is work on the team and building the team. Finally, as that all starts to click into place and you're working on it more and more, it creates synergy, which is a well-oiled machine. And finally, you get to the point of where you're getting consistent results and you have an opportunity for more and more personal growth or new business ventures. Putting this all together gives you massive, massive results, time, team, money, and marketing. Now, building a business to work without you takes around 3 to 7 years with a coach. Of course, people do it without a coach and it can take longer, sometimes shorter, but typically we've seen working with a coach when you're working on the business, are you doing stuff like this? Anywhere between 5 and 20 hours a week is the time difference between 3 to 7 years. So today we're covering team and the critical importance of building your team in your business. But watch this video back. These are the 6 steps you're going to need to build your business. So again, a moment to note, there are 3 key aspects that employees want to be happy in their business. Any thoughts on what those 3 aspects are? 3 components of having happy team members. Any thoughts in the chat box? Any words that spring to mind? Satisfaction, trust. Who said trust? That is spot on. Trust is definitely there. What else? Responsibility. What else? 1 or 2 more? Value. These are 3 key components that people want to be very happy in their work. They want autonomy. So they're free to do their work and get their work done in their own way. They want to be trusted. Yeah, exactly. Feeling that it's okay to make mistakes sometimes. Of course, that's trust, right? And then flexibility. These are the 3 components that make people the happiest. Now, again, think to the team that you've got in place. Think to how you are conducting yourself as a leader in your business. Are you giving people autonomy? Are you giving people trust and flexibility? Perhaps score yourself out of 10 and be honest. These are your notes. Where are you? So now as we get into recruitment, again, thoughts in the chat box, please. I'm loving how interactive everyone is. Thank you so much for your participation so far. Which is more important when hiring? Now, with you all, I will caveat, of course, what you do is highly skilled and you may need a skilled person. So assuming that's what you're getting through, but what's more important when you're hiring? Attitude or skill? A couple of people saying attitude. Any other takers? Character, which is attitude. Attitude. Yeah, absolutely. It's always going to be attitude. Hire for attitude, train for skill. If you don't know who Herb Kelleher is, Google Herb Kelleher. read the story. It's a brilliant story of Southwest Airlines and why they're one of the best airlines in America. So attitude is absolutely critical. So let me ask you a question. What happens if someone has the right attitude, but is slightly inexperienced? Answers in the chat box, please. What happens if someone has the right attitude, but is inexperienced? Training. Yeah, they're willing to learn. You can train them, you can educate them. What about if someone is really experienced, but has poor attitude? What happens then? So what if someone's really experienced, but has a poor attitude? Conflict. Yeah, you can't train them. It destroys the team. Another question to ask you, just a yes or no. Can you teach attitude? Can you teach attitude? No, of course you can't. So everyone here has said attitude is the most important thing, but why do most, what do most people recruit against? Attitude or skill? What do most people recruit against? Attitude or skill? Skill, exactly. Everyone recruits for skill. Why is that? Why is it that everyone recruits for skill when we've all said attitude is more important? Every role doesn't need attitude. Irfan, that's a very interesting concept. You can change attitude towards awareness, through awareness. Ooh, can you though? Can you really change the attitude of someone? It's easier to recruit for skill. Most people recruit for skill because it's easier. That's why. It's just easier to do that. You can just read through the CVs and you can say, yeah, they can do the job, and you hire them. It's way easier. But we're going to show you today a completely different way and why it's so important. Attitude 100% is the thing that's going to make or break your team and is going to make or break your business. So anything that resonates, any questions that are popping up, please write them down. Hopefully we've got some time at the end and we can talk through it. Think about how you've hired so far. Have you hired for skill? How have you interviewed or tested for attitude? So look, these are the 6 steps we recommend for recruiting a top team. Okay, and we coach this in detail over 3 or 4 hours on our program, but I'm going to give you the top level here. The first step is defining the role and the attitude. So we've talked about hiring for attitude, but what does that actually mean? What does that actually mean? Think about the team that you've got, or if you've not got a team, the team that you'd like to have. What type of attitude would you want them to have? Would you want them to be quite jovial, quite friendly? Do you want people to be prompt and turn up on time? Do you want them to be quite hardworking? What does hardworking mean? So you need to have this written down as well, not in your head as business owners. Have this written down. You need to define the role and the attitude very clearly, so you know what you're looking for. And then when you're hiring, the potential employee knows what you're looking for as well. Need to hire for both, Vaughan. If a qualified architect with 3 years post-qualification experience still does not have the skill, then no matter what their attitude, they are not worth hiring. Yeah, absolutely. But attitude comes first. Because if you've got 2 people with the same level of experience, the person with the better attitude is likely to be hired. So going back to the 6 steps, defining the attitude and the role, having that written down very clearly is critical. The second is creating your advert. So this is where a very important mind shift is required of you all. It's important to think of recruitment like marketing, because it is a marketing exercise. You know, you're spreading your net far and wide. You need to create an advert that's going to attract the right types of person. How do you analyze attitude? We'll get into that, Irfan. It's a very good question, and please make note of that if we don't get a chance to answer it, because I'd like to go through that at the end. But you need to create the advert, going back to the 6 steps of where you're going to find these people. Most people just post on maybe Dezeen or one place, but you need to think about where are you looking for the type of person that you want to work for your business. You know, are you posting on LinkedIn? Are you posting on Indeed? All the different platforms. Are you posting on your social media? Are you asking your friends network, your family network, your professional network? Where are you looking for the right type of person? So that's deciding where to fish. You have the right advert, you're deciding where to fish. And it has to be across multiple platforms and locations. Spread that net really, really wide. Finally, and we're going to get into this now, screening candidates. I appreciate in some industries it's difficult to get candidates, and so it's quite challenging to screen them because there might not be enough of them. But assuming you're hiring for a position and there are enough candidates, how are you screening candidates? And we'll get into this. Step 5 is interviewing consistently. So what does that mean? That means ensuring that you've got a fixed set of questions, a fixed set of scoring, a fixed way of reviewing and analyzing the potential candidates as they're coming through. So therefore, at the end, you can make a consistently based decision on if you're hiring the right person. So that could be, for example, with attitude, if you're looking for someone that's friendly, perhaps in your interview, friendliness is a key attitude and you score 0 out of 10 how friendly that person is. And then if you've got 10 criteria, the maximum score someone can get is 100. And at the end of the recruitment process, if you've interviewed 5 people, the person who scored closest to 100 possibly becomes the person that you hire. The final step is closing the sale. Now, you may be thinking, look, this is recruitment, I'm not closing any sale, but actually you are. Getting the deal over the line with the right person, that includes, the contracts, the perks, the benefits, everything that comes with closing the deal with that person and ensuring that they're happy to join your team is critical, because oftentimes it's at this last stage that you can lose the ideal candidate just because it hasn't been tied up properly. So finding the right people before they join your team. So screening candidates to save time and find the right attitude before they join. What's the biggest issue with a big pile of CVs to look through? What's the biggest issue with a big pile of CVs to look through? Time. What else? What's the other issues with a massive pile of CVs? Any other thoughts? Biggest issue with a massive pile of CVs? They all start looking the same eventually, right? They all start saying the same thing. Too much choice, absolutely. And it's just a bit of paper. It's difficult to ascertain who that person is. So please do jot this down. This is our deselection process. This is how you start to find the right people. The first step is in your advert, you're asking the right type of candidate to apply with either a voice message or a video. So it could be something along the lines of send me a 1-minute video or leave a voicemail on this phone number of why you like this job. And what that means is the right type of person is going to go through the effort of reading through your job advert, and then they're going to go through the effort of creating a video or leaving you a voicemail, which shows you that there's a certain attitude that they have. I'm literally going through this right now. I'm recruiting for a telesales based role. There was 150 applicants for the role, and out of that, there's been 9 people that have actually taken the step to submit a video. And that for me means that I don't have to waste my time with the others. I'm just going to look at those 9 that have taken the time to submit their video, and the quality of those people has been very, very high. So that in itself means that you're deselecting a huge part of the applicants that have taken the time to read through and taken the step, read through the advert, and taking the step to create the video or the voicemail. Now, this is optional and it could be important for you, a deal breaker skills test. People can say that they can do certain things on their CV, but actually, how do you test for that? Again, it could be testing for personality as well. There could be something that's a deal breaker, and in order for them to progress in your interview process, maybe you can create a test that will move them forward or not. And that's optional. The second or third step is a group interview. Now, we conduct these on Zoom, but a group interview has huge benefits because you see all of the candidates together and you can compare them side to side. What else do you think a group interview is going to do for you as someone who's recruiting from a pool of quite dedicated people because they've got to this stage? What else do you think a group interview is going to give you? Answers in the chat box, please. What do you think a group interview is going to give you? Strongest candidates will shine through. Absolutely, John. Anything else? Comparison. Yeah, direct comparison. Some might be quieter than others. Yeah, absolutely. It allows you to judge character. Shows how someone deals with direct competition, which shows their personality traits. Understanding group dynamics. Absolutely. Yeah, these are all spot on. Another component to the group interview, just to add, is that what we're doing at the moment is we're actually asking people to do a 2-minute presentation. So everyone, even the quieter ones, then have a chance to speak because it's a telemarketing role. They have a chance to show how good they are. Yeah, exactly. Look at them under pressure. How good are you really on the phone? How good are you at doing this particular job? And therefore, everyone gets a chance to speak. And you can structure your group interview in the same way. So if you've got 10 people, you can ask them to prepare a pitch, you can ask them to prepare an answer, or you can go through all 10 people and ask them to answer a specific question. But yeah, there's huge benefits that come from that. The final part of the deselection process is a phone interview. Of course, this is the most traditional part. Need to be aware that introverts can be incredibly good at their job and may not perform in that environment or on video. Depends on the job role on offer. Yeah, Tom, absolutely. Look, there's nuances to this, and you have to make adjustments. And if you have a candidate that's brilliant on their CV, but for some reason they didn't quite shine, you can maybe give them a second chance, or as I said, give them the specific opportunity to speak out. But ultimately, it's if that's the attitude that you want someone that's quite introverted and is just quite skill focused, that's the choice that you have to make. But ultimately, what we're looking to do here is deselect people and only give you the best. Now, the phone interview, the last stage, is more traditional, but you really only would spend this time on the top 3 or 4 candidates, not looking at 10 or 20 people and being on the phone with them. So this is the deselection process we use, and we coach our clients to use to find the right candidates with the right attitude before they join the team. Because ultimately, if you're bringing the right people on from the beginning, what does that then avoid happening when they join your team? Well, reduce the chances of happening of when they finally do join your team. If you're recruiting the right people with the right attitude, with the right skill up front, what are you reducing the chances of happening when they join your team? Answers in the chat box, please. They're going to carry out what you require. What else? Reduce the staff turnover. Yeah. What else? Reducing the chance of disappointment from both sides. Absolutely. Yeah, it's exactly all of that. It basically means that from the outset, you found someone that you believe is going to fit your team from an attitude perspective, a culture perspective, and a skills perspective, rather than have them join your team and then find out 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line that they're not the right type of person and the rest of the team doesn't quite get on with them, or they irritate this person and that person. And so, yeah, to ensure that it doesn't change the team dynamics, but actually enhances the team dynamics. There's huge amounts of benefits that come from finding the right person with the right attitude up front. So here's a key tool that we use when it comes to delegation, the 4 steps of delegation. And this is a powerful tool. I'd advocate everyone writing this down because it really does work. The first step is defining what the project is. So it could be a site survey, it could be a drawing, It could be anything, but you have to define what the outcome is and by when the delivery of that outcome is expected. Now, this is an interesting one. The second step is why. Why has that particular person been asked to do that job, and why that particular task? Now, just out of interest, why do you think the person being delegated to would want to know why they've been chosen? Answers in the chat box, please. Trust. What else? Why is it important for the person that's been delegated to know? Trust, value, anything else? Helps with ownership. Yeah, they're the best person. Yeah, exactly, Michael. They're the best person for it. Because it could be quite easy for someone to turn around, especially in a small team, and go, well, why don't you do it? You're the expert. You've got time. Or why doesn't so-and-so do it? Clarity on their role, understand their position, expectations. Exactly. If they understand why they've been chosen, why they are so important, yeah, availability, exactly. And why they've been given that particular task, it gives them a sense of ownership and understanding as to where they can go next with it. So why? Step number 2 is why. Why them? Why the task? Step number 3 is how. Now, this is a two-way conversation. How is you informing the person of the resources that they have available to them, the people, the templates, what training they have, what is and isn't acceptable. But it also works the other way, and this is critical. A lot of people miss this, but for you to actually ask the person that's being delegated to, okay, tell me, and you can write this down, this particular statement, tell me, how will you go about delivering this project? And you can add further questions. What challenges would you see? What do you need from me to deliver this particular project? But what do you think that's going to do? Step number 3, what is how going to do for that person that's being delegated to? And also, what's it going to do for you? Any thoughts? Answers in the chat box. What's how going to do for the person? And what's it going to do with you? No answers just yet? Give them confidence to deliver? Yeah, they feel, yeah, exactly. They're going to feel supported. They'll have clarity on the task. It also, it's when you ask them the question, how are you going to go about it? It's going to reveal to you any gaps in the process that they might use, or it may reveal some opportunities to improve the process. But yeah, male confidence for both of you. And this final stage is the critical stage. You agree. And you agree by them summarizing to you what the project is, why they've been chosen, and how they're going to go about doing it. The reason they are summarizing to you is because it gives you the opportunity to understand that they've understood what is expected of them. And when they feed back to you, if there's any gaps between what you're expecting and what they are saying, it allows for further conversation. So what this entire 4-step delegation process would do is eliminate what? Answers in the chat box. By using this 4 steps of delegation, what would it eliminate? Risk, doubt, what else? Time wasting, mistakes, assumptions. It eliminates so much because you're actually going through a process to ensure that your expectations and the other person's expectations are matching, and any gaps are talked about before they happen. So 4 steps of delegation, a powerful tool for you to use with your team. Oh, that didn't work. Culture. What does it mean and why does it matter? What is culture? Any thoughts in the chat box? What is culture? What does it mean and why does it matter? Community, how you operate, how to work together. Yeah, exactly. It's all of that. Why is it important? Why is culture important? I love some of the answers in the chat box. So I'll give you an example for those of you who, well, whether you're a football fan or not, hopefully everyone knows who Cristiano Ronaldo is. If you remember, I think it was at the beginning of this year, he was at Manchester United, and something happened, and the new manager, Erik ten Hag, decided to bench Cristiano Ronaldo, the biggest player in the world, the best player in the world, the biggest name in the world, and he benched him. A few weeks later, I think Ronaldo left Manchester United. But prior to that, all the previous managers never took that step when it came to Ronaldo. He could pretty much do what he wanted, regardless of what was happening to the team. But the new manager came in and he established a certain way of doing things and a certain culture. And Ronaldo went. Now, what message do you think that action, that act of benching Ronaldo and then eventually selling him, what do you think that did to establishing a new form of culture to the rest of the team and to the rest of the people at Manchester United? No one is bigger than the team. What else? Clear. No one exempt from the culture. Exactly. There's clarity. The culture is this. These are the rules of the game, and no one is above that. You either play to the rules of the game, you play to our culture, or you're not on the team. Now, again, we spend 3 to 4 hours, 5 hours plus coaching on this. No, Thomas, not necessarily who the boss is, but the culture. This is the way that we do things here. But yeah, the boss, the leader implements that. The culture ultimately dictates who stays, who goes, and who you attract into your business. And we've all heard of things like toxic culture and positive culture and so on. This is what it all relates to, and it's all linked to the principles that we've been coaching on earlier. Above and below the line, how you recruit, your attitude that you're looking for, do they fit the culture? So an example of turning culture statements into reality. This is Sir Clive Woodward, and he is the England rugby coach who won the World Cup in 2003 and the Team GB coach for Beijing 2008, 2012 London Olympics. Basically made us champions. Now, when he was with Team GB, he had 15 core values which delivered high performance. These are the rules of the game, of the culture that he wanted, the core values. Now, subsections within those rules of the game for high performance were hygiene, being professional in everything that we do, and 100% me, above the line. 100% me is above the line. Now, these can be really nice words on the wall. They can be things that we talk about, but how do we turn them into actions so we actually live the culture? It's all fair and well saying high quality is a culture, but how do we live and breathe that every single day? What are the actions, the things that we're doing? So for Sir Clive Woodward, hygiene, for example, was a big problem. Not that they were not hygienic enough, but the hygiene could be improved because people were off sick, they were getting injured, and so on and so forth. So part of the rules of the game was that you use hand sanitizer at every given opportunity, and water bottles are cleaned every single day. Now, obviously, there were many, many more of these, but this is an example and a structure of how rules of the game were implemented to create a certain culture, and a culture of winning and a culture of championships. And another example of when he was at the with the England rugby team in the early 90s, believe it or not, laptops and data was not being used so much at that time. And that when he introduced it, there were certain players that were quite against it. And so the rules of the game were very simple. The culture of the England rugby team now is that we embrace technology. For those of you who don't, are off the team. And that happened. Some big names were sacked, and the rest is history. England went on to win the Rugby World Cup. So how do you go about designing a team culture? Well, you start with the company or team vision. This is a big topic in itself, and again, we work extensively on this. But you start with what the vision is of your team. Start with what the vision is of your company, and then you think about and you write down what behaviors do you need in the team to achieve that vision. What behaviors do you need in the team to achieve the vision that you've set, sorry. So think about, what behaviors are you rewarding? Are you letting people cut corners? Are you letting people turn up late? Are you letting people leave early and do half jobs? Or are you letting quite a lax environment happen? What are you rewarding? And then how many points of culture do you want? So a point of culture is literally like a list, and you can think about how many points of culture you want. I believe in Action Coach, there's something like 14 points of culture, which I don't know any of them, if I'm being honest. There's too many. So within the business growth agency where we are, we only have 3. Here's 5 ways for you to boost team retention. So establishing a very strong culture, reinforcing that every single day with rules of the game and actions. Onboarding. So I'm not talking about onboarding the first day and making sure the new employees' emails are set up. I'm talking about a 90-day onboarding process, the first week, the first month, and then the first quarter. How are you onboarding and planning the first 90 days of someone joining your business? And that is actually their probation period as well. What KPIs are you setting? How are you setting them up to be as successful as possible in your business? Setting individual goals for them, milestones, KPIs, common goals for the business that they can work towards and be a part of. And finally, ensuring that you're building trust with them on a continual basis. Any F1 fans here? Just a yes or no in the chat box. But the reason I've got this picture here, if you are or are not an F1 fan, is that I think it was something like 30 years ago, a pit stop was 3 minutes, something like that, 4 minutes. It was a very, very long time. Today, you're looking at something like 30 or 40 seconds, but it was marginal gains. They took time to get to that point that they could do this. And so likewise, with everything that we've covered today, this is all going to take time. You can walk away with a load of ideas and a load of notes in your notebook, but I would recommend that you pick 1 or 2 principles that you've learned today and implement them immediately. Take your time, work on them consistently, because you can't do all of it overnight. And that's the biggest challenge with a lot of these webinars and CPDs, is that you walk away with so many ideas and you may end up doing nothing. So I'd recommend pick 1 or 2 that really resonated and just start implementing them. And if you can, whether it's with us or elsewhere, get yourself a mentor, get yourself a coach that's going to help you, hold you accountable and guide you to make these things happen, and just take daily actions. Add the time to the default diary. Yes, Thomas, I love that. I love that. Just to expand on who we are and what we do. So this is the team of coaches that I'm very privileged to work with and lucky to work with. Parag, Dan, Margarita, the quite handsome chap on the right-hand side, Kuldeep, that's me. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is at the beginning of the webinar, I shared with you that this is part 1. This is your opportunity now to take up a gifted one-to-one coaching session, and this is part 2 of your education. So during this gifted one-to-one coaching session, we will work specifically on any of the principles that have resonated with you today. We will work specifically on any team building challenges that you may have. We will work specifically on goals, mindset, finance, whatever is most important to you. In fact, what I'll do is I'll also share the link to this, if you are interested, in the chat box. Just out of interest, I mean, yeah, Tom, I know a few of you may have done this already. Just out of interest, I suppose by a show of hands, but just in the chat box, just a yes or no, is this of interest to you? Would this be of interest to you? Yes. Great. Really good to know, everyone. So look, I put a link in the chat box. You've got some time to do this now. As with everything that we do, it's all about taking action. Words are great, but actions really show where you are with it. And so book yourself in. It's a gifted 45-minute coaching session. Most likely it will be with me or my colleagues Dan and Margarita and Parag. But as I said, we will work on your business. At the end of the coaching session, if you feel like you'd like to discover a bit more about coaching, and if it is of interest to you, we can talk about that in our program and how it all works, but only if it's of interest to you. The primary reason for the coaching session, and really it's all we talk about, is helping you with your business and getting you set up for success moving forward. So we've got a bit of time for some questions. Yeah, and obviously if anyone's on Instagram, if you want to connect with me, you can send me your thoughts, your challenges in a DM, and I usually send voice notes back, so you connect with me on Instagram. So I'm just going to stop sharing the screen, unmute everyone, or you can unmute yourselves. You can start video if you wish. Any questions? I've got time for a couple of questions. If you're happy to stick around, we can go through a few of the points. If not, no problem at all. That's what the coaching session is for. We can answer any of your questions there also. The recording of this event will be sent out to you, and the link as well to the coaching session. Looks like there's no questions at the moment. You've got the link there. Okay, great. Thank you everyone for your time. Congratulations once again for being here. And yeah, hopefully I get to speak to some of you quite soon on the coaching session. Take care. Bye-bye.